Welcome back, everyone, to the EMT Spot's Blood Pressure Podcast.
Hi, everyone.
I'm Samuel Harrison.
And I'm Olivia Harper, and we are ready for another deep dive.
That's right. Today, we're tackling something that I think is on a lot of people's minds.
Yeah.
As we get a little bit older.
Mm-hmm.
How does our blood pressure change with age?
That's right. And, you hear so much about healthy blood pressure, right?
Right.
But it kind of seems like that target is always moving.
Yeah, it does. It's
Sure.
like, what is healthy when I'm 20 versus 30 versus 40 versus
Exactly.
that?
And 120 over 80 is a good starting point. But as we age, that doesn't really tell the whole story.
Right. And that's what we're talking about today. So we're going to get into all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've always found so fascinating is that as we age,
Yeah.
you might see that top number, that systolic blood pressure gradually going up.
That's right.
But then the bottom number, that diastolic pressure, might stay the same or even go down.
Yeah, it's really interesting how those numbers, it's like they're playing by a different...
Right. They're not moving together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think one of the main reasons for that is that as we get older, our arteries naturally become less flexible.
Oh.
So it's kind of like...
Makes sense.
Think about a garden hose, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it's new, it's nice and flexible, but as it gets older, it gets stiffer and harder to bend.
Okay.
And that's kind of what happens to our arteries as we age.
So is that the only thing, or is it also the heart kind of working harder to pump?
Yeah. Well, that stiffer artery means that the heart has to work harder to push that blood through.
Okay.
And that increased force, that's what's reflected in that higher systolic blood pressure.
Okay, so it's like a push and pull between...
It is.
the heart.
A little bit, yeah.
And then the arteries kind of
Yeah.
adapting as we age.
And the diastolic pressure might dip a little bit because the artery doesn't relax as much between beats.
I see. Okay, so we're seeing that the arteries might be getting a little bit stiffer?
Yes, but obviously it's never just one thing, right?
Never just one thing.
I mean, there's a whole host of things that are happening within our cardiovascular system as we age.
Absolutely. And the heart itself undergoes changes. The muscle might thicken a bit. And the valves might not be as efficient as they once were.
I see.
And so all of that affects how the heart pumps and ultimately how our blood pressure is regulated.
Okay, so it's kind of like a well-maintained car, but some of the parts are starting to show their age and
Exactly.
impacting performance.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, and I would imagine just like cars, not every person's cardiovascular system ages
Right.
at the same rate.
Absolutely not. And that's where individual factors come into play.
Like what?
Well, genetics, for one. If high blood pressure runs in your family, you might be more predisposed to it as you get older.
Okay, that makes sense. And then there's also
then
just the way we live our lives, right?
Yeah, lifestyle, those daily choices that we make, what we eat, how much we move, how well we manage stress. That all plays a part in this blood pressure picture.
It's like we're the mechanics of our own bodies.
Right.
Some of us are better mechanics than others.
Exactly. Some of us take our cars in for regular tune-ups.
Yeah.
Others, let things slide a little bit.
Right. And that's where I think, for a lot of people listening, and for me personally, we often think of high blood pressure as just a heart problem.
Right.
Yeah. The silent killer.
It's a silent killer. That's right.
But it's not just a heart problem. It seems like it's impacting everything as we get older.
You're spot on. It's really not just a cardiovascular issue. It has a much wider impact on our overall health and well-being. And
like what?
Well, for example, did you know that high blood pressure has been linked to an increased risk of cognitive decline and even dementia?
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Wow.
And it's an area of ongoing research, but the link is becoming more and more established.
Wow. So it's not just heart attacks and strokes that we have to worry about.
Right.
It's also our brain.
Exactly.
Wow.
And it's also associated with a higher risk of physical disability, falls, and fractures as we get older.
So it's really about protecting our overall health.
It is.
And well-being.
And preserving our independence as we age.
As we age, yeah.
Yes.
Wow, this is already so interesting.
It is.
And we've only just scratched the surface, but it feels like there's a missing piece here. Like, what's the underlying mechanism that's tying all of these age-related changes together?
There is, and it's something that we call the vascular health triad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept that helps to explain how those seemingly disparate dots are actually connected.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
Good.
I'm glad.
Tell me more.
Oh, will.
The vascular health triad. Okay. It sounds a little bit ominous.
Yeah, it's not a secret society or anything, but it's important.
Okay, good.
But it does involve three key players that are constantly interacting.
Okay.
Within our bodies, inflammation, oxidative stress, and endothelial dysfunction.
Okay, so inflammation, I get that that's like our body's natural defense system, right?
Right, exactly. It's how our bodies
Okay,
heal.
like you cut yourself.
Yeah, you get a cut, the area gets red and swollen. That's inflammation at work.
Right.
It's a vital part of healing. But here's the thing. When inflammation becomes chronic, it can actually start to damage tissues and organs.
Oh.
And that includes our blood vessels.
So it's good in small doses.
Right. It's like a fire alarm.
Yeah.
It's good when there's a fire, but if it keeps going off after the fire is out, it becomes more of a nuisance than a help.
Okay, so that's one member of this triad.
That's right.
What about oxidative stress? What is that?
So imagine a car rusting over time.
Okay.
That's kind of similar to what happens in our bodies with oxidative stress.
Okay.
It's caused by an imbalance between free radicals, those are highly reactive molecules, and antioxidants, which neutralize them.
When there are too many free radicals, they can damage cells.
Including
those in your blood vessels.
I see.
Yeah, so kind of like rust damaging metal.
So we've got chronic inflammation, that's the persistent fire alarm.
Yes.
And oxidative stress, which is like rust eating away at our bodies.
Exactly.
Okay, so that brings us to endothelial dysfunction.
Right.
What is that, and how does it fit into all of this?
So the endothelium is a thin layer of cells that lines the inside of our blood vessels.
Okay.
You can think of it as the gatekeeper. It controls blood flow, prevents clots, and even regulates immune responses. When that endothelium is damaged or not functioning properly, we call it endothelial dysfunction.
And I'm guessing it's related to the first two members?
It is.
Of the triad?
Yes. Both chronic inflammation and oxidative stress can directly damage the endothelium, leading to dysfunction.
So they all work together.
They do. And here's the key takeaway. All three of these processes, inflammation, oxidative stress, and endothelial dysfunction, they're intricately involved in both the aging process and the development of high blood pressure.
Wow. So it's like aging fuels these processes, which then lead to high blood pressure.
Right.
Which then further accelerates aging and those same harmful processes.
Yeah, it creates a vicious cycle.
Like a snowball effect.
Exactly.
Wow. And this isn't just some abstract scientific concept, is it?
No, it's not. Understanding this triad gives you a framework for managing blood pressure in a more holistic way.
Okay, I like that. So it's not just about treating the symptom.
It's about addressing those underlying causes.
Getting to the root of the problem.
Exactly.
Okay, so now that we kind of have this understanding of the why, what about the how?
That's a great question, and that's what we're going to dive into next.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay,
so we know about the vascular health triad: inflammation, oxidative stress, and endothelial dysfunction.
Right.
All playing a role in aging and blood pressure. But how can we use this knowledge?
Yeah.
What can we actually do?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the beauty of understanding this triad is that it really empowers us to take a more proactive approach to managing blood pressure. It's not just about medication, although that certainly has its place.
Right.
It's about making choices that actually address those underlying processes.
Right. Getting to that root cause.
Exactly.
So where do we start?
Well, let's start with what's on our plate.
Okay, food.
Food. Exactly. You know what they say, you are what you eat. And that's especially true when it comes to vascular health.
So what should we be eating?
Think vibrant, colorful, full of life.
Okay, I like that.
A diet that's rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats, the kind that you find in a Mediterranean-style diet.
Okay.
That can make a world of difference. These foods are packed with antioxidants.
Oh, right. So those are the things that fight off those free radicals.
Exact. Remember our rusting car analogy? Antioxidants are like the rust protector for your body.
I like that.
So load up on those leafy greens, berries, nuts, olive oil, all that good stuff.
Okay, and I imagine we should also be limiting some things.
Yes, absolutely. Processed foods, sugary drinks, unhealthy fats. Those are the things that can really fuel inflammation and oxidative stress.
So we're talking about cutting back on the junk food.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't put low-quality fuel in a high-performance car, would you?
No, definitely not.
And the same goes for our bodies.
Okay, so diet is a big one.
It is.
What else?
Let's move on to exercise.
Okay.
Regular physical activity, it's like a multivitamin for your blood vessels.
Oh, wow.
It strengthens your heart, helps regulate blood pressure, even boosts your mood and cognitive function.
And it doesn't have to be super intense, right?
Not at all. Even moderate activity like brisk walking, gardening, dancing,
Okay.
all of that can make a difference.
So finding something you enjoy and sticking with it.
Exactly. And here's a bonus exercise, also helps combat inflammation and oxidative stress. So you're hitting two birds with one stone.
I like that 2-for-1 deal.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got diet, we've got exercise.
Yes.
What else should we be thinking about?
Stress management is huge.
Stress, yeah.
Chronic stress can really do a number on our bodies, increasing inflammation and even driving up blood pressure.
Oh, wow. So how do we manage that?
Well, finding healthy ways to cope with stress, whether it's mindfulness meditation, yoga, spending time in nature, or just connecting with loved ones.
Sure.
It's about giving your body a chance to rest and recover instead of constantly being in that fight or flight mode.
Right.
And then there's sleep.
Sleep.
Yes. We often underestimate the power of a good night's rest.
I know I do.
But it's essential for our bodies to repair and rejuvenate. And when we're sleep deprived, it throws everything off balance, including our blood pressure regulation.
Yeah. So we need to prioritize sleep.
Absolutely. Aim for those 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep.
Okay, so it sounds like we have a lot that we can do with our lifestyle to manage our blood pressure naturally.
Absolutely.
But what about when that's not enough?
Well, that's where medication can play a really important role. And this is where the future of blood pressure management gets really exciting.
Oh, how so?
Have you heard of precision medicine?
I've heard the term, but I don't really know what it is.
So it's a really interesting field that's gaining a lot of momentum. The idea behind precision medicine is to personalize healthcare.
Okay.
So it's tailoring treatments to individual needs and characteristics.
So instead of giving everyone the same medication, you're saying find the right drug at the right dose for the right person.
Exactly. And when it comes to blood pressure, there's a lot of research going on right now looking at how factors like your genes, your biological sex, even your lifestyle can affect how well different medications work.
Wow, so it's like a personalized approach to medicine.
It is. It's about empowering people to really take control of their health in a way that we've never been able to do before.
Wow, this has been an incredible deep dive. I feel like I've learned so much today about how blood pressure changes as we age.
Me too.
The vascular health triad.
Yes.
And all of these new possibilities on the horizon.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It really is. So, any final thoughts for our listeners before we wrap things up?
Just this knowledge is power. By understanding how blood pressure is connected to aging and our overall health, we can make informed choices that support our well-being for years to come.
I love that knowledge is power. I couldn't have said it better myself. A huge thank you to all of you for joining us on this journey of discovery.
Thank you.
We're Samuel Harrison and Olivia Harper, and this has been the THEEMTSPOT's Blood Pressure Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this episode with anyone who might find it valuable. Until next time, stay curious and stay healthy.
Bye, everyone.